Teenagers of Reddit, what was the worst ever rejection you have experienced or witnessed? I once did a musical where the final two people, one was a freshman dude and the other was a senior girl, were bowing at the end. After they both bowed, the guy asked for everyone to stop clapping for a moment, to which he turned to the senior and said, "I've felt a connection with you this whole time. Will you be the belle to my beast?" And I kid you not, the whole audience was silent except for the senior's boyfriend laughing in the front row. She calmly walked off stage and the director broke the news to him that she was already seeing someone. That was the last show he did with us, I think. And myself and others still joke with the senior sending her texts like, "Will you be the belle to my beast?" I would just leave the school. Not currently a teenager, but when I was one, I was in a game of spin the bottle with my crush and a bunch of other people at a birthday party. We played several rounds and when my spin landed on my crush, she just got up and said, "Let's play something else." I'm sorry dude, that must hurt. I had a girl in my middle school class that I liked. I tried talking to her, but being in middle school it's hard af. We're all in line trying to get in the classroom and I was standing behind her. I was just staring at the back of her head a foot away from her. IWAA trying to get in class. She was just turning her head and I guess caught me staring at her head BTW. She made a disgusted face and said, "OMG, you're such a creep," in front of everyone in the hall. Some other girls and guys started getting in on that joke. For almost half a year people would purposely run or look away from my direction laughing so I couldn't talk to them in the halls. It was miserable. There was a guy I grew up with who I really liked for a really long time. Once we got into high school we shared some extracurricular activities and started hanging out more, and it seemed the perfect time to be brave and ask him out. When I did, he said that we weren't a good match because I like books and he likes working out. Ouch. That guy's a douche. I took a good looking girl to a high school dance. She ran into some guy she never thought I'd see again after he moved, and then they hung out and she ignored me. I shrugged and hung out with my friends. I hope she got home okay because I was her ride. She grew up stunning, but whatever. You know what happened that night? Well, it was some years ago when I was young and dumb, but I told a boy that I had a crush on him and the rejection was totally okay. But a day later I found out that he told the whole class and everyone was making fun of it. I got calls from some boys from my class and texts saying that it's him and he would miss me, etc. It even got that far that some stranger from a different school texted me something like, "Are you seriously that much into fun times?" Those people are garbage. I admire you for telling him of your feelings. 90% of the people who made fun of you will stew in regret for years because they didn't have the guts to tell their crushes. So F them, losers. Not a rejection, but close enough, I hope. I was at my English class sitting in the back row and talking to an acquaintance of mine when a girl I used to like came up to me and asked me on a date. Now immediately I knew something was off because we never talked, and behind her a few people were staring and laughing. Before I could even get a word out she said, "Just say no, I don't actually like you." So I was rejected before I even asked, and my day was already pretty crappy beforehand. She repeated the question and again told me to say no, and at this point I told her to frick off. She just said okay and left, so that was probably not my worst rejection, but the one I hated the most because I actually had my hopes up for her. Second, TLDR. Got a prank played on me and got rejected before I asked. You suffered rejection. During high school homecoming season, my friend decided to ask this girl to the dance. Despite not really knowing each other that well, a few days prior to the event, he dressed up in a suit, brought rose flowers, and waited outside a class the girl was in. When she came out, she saw my friend with bunch of random people forming a curious crowd, all laughing and excited to see what would happen. She covered her face and ran away, ignoring my friend's desperate act of trying to stop her. It got super awkward after that, and my friend looked devastated. On the homecoming though, he came by himself and took over the stage with mad dance moves. He was very unique and fun guy. Rose flowers. We just call them roses. Mr. Manager. In 7th grade this kid came to school all dressed up in a tuxedo with flowers and a ring. Granted it was not a real ring, but it's a ring nonetheless. In the hall during passing period he got on one knee and proposed to this girl to be his girlfriend. Everybody was in the hall crowding around to see what the commotion's all about, even people are coming out of the class to see this. The girl covers her mouth in shock and all of the crowd is screaming say yes and freaking out because well, in middle school this was a big deal. All this happened for the girl say no. Poor guy never said a word in class after that. So this one took place a while ago, but dang, it still stings. Back in 3rd grade, I had a crush on a more popular boy. I tried my best to become friends with him and learned to play kickball to play with him and his friends. On Valentine's Day my cousin suggested I confess my feelings. With my cousin's help I made a heart-shaped card decorated in glitter and wrote on the back that I liked him. I slipped the card into his Valentine's Day box our teacher had us all make. After the cards were passed around the class to everybody, he saw the card and read it. His friends all asked to read it too, so he gave them the card. They all immediately knew who wrote it since my dumbass self wrote my name on the card. They all laughed and kept on asking me over and over again if I liked him and actually wrote it. My crush then told me that he didn't even think of me as a friend and that he certainly didn't like me back. I crushed my soul. Years later in high school, despite the fact that my crush moved a long time ago and everybody who was in my class seems to have forgotten, I still can't help but feel anxiety from the idea of Valentine's Day. Anybody I tell tells me I'm being irrational, but I can't help it. Dang dude, hope you feel better. I was hanging out with a guy I liked and I had his home phone in my hand because I was about to call someone to tell them to come chill with us. This was when people still used home phones. He goes to grab the phone out of my hand and I thought he was trying to hold hands with me. To this day I still die of embarrassment. Ow. I was actually the one that did the rejecting. So I'm a girl and this other girl had a not so subtle crush on me. Even though I am openly bi, we honestly had nothing in common, so I didn't feel the same. I honestly think she only liked me because I was the only other gay person she knew at the time. After more than a few awkward encounters I finally confronted her about it. Not only did she confess her feelings, but she poured her heart out, admitting that she's felt this way for years, leaving me in a very awkward spot. I tried my best to lightly explain why I didn't think it would work out. We went separate ways and soon went to separate universities. One dat, out of nowhere she starts messaging me for a few weeks. Normal at first, but then the flirting starts again. Note, she had a girlfriend at the time. She starts telling me about how hard she can make her girlfriend CM, and this obviously was way too much information. I call her out on it and she gets aggressive, telling me that I'll never experience the pleasure she can give me. I block her obviously and I can only hope I never see her in person again. She was always a bit eccentric, but I think I dodged a bullet on that one. I was in primary school and I tried to start a conversation with a girl through notes. I saw someone do it earlier in the week but with another person. This was where we couldn't talk during class. I wrote her a note saying hi. We made eye contact. She gave me a disgusted look and dropped it on ground. That hurt me so much. Words couldn't explain. A boy came to my classroom to ask a girl to prom. There were a dozen students getting tutoring for a test. 2 girls had the same first name, so he had to clarify which one. After he asked, she asked him to speak outside. She was kind but firm. Moral of the story is not to ask in a public fashion. In high school I, M, was at the local ski hill with a friend, F, who thought she was a great wingman. She suddenly said, "I'm going to get you a date," and bent these metal ski pass holders into the shape of my phone number and walked up to a random group of girls and spelled it out for them. But they didn't even say anything, just stared at her. I'm not sure who even got rejected, but that was some weird crap. Alright, time to dig up some adolescent trauma. I had been talking to a girl for a couple of weeks. Tall, pretty, seemed to laugh with me, talked about what jerks guys are, how I was sweet, and wished she could have a boyfriend like me, but she was taken. We kept talking until she said she had broken up with her latest boyfriend. I tried asking her out that morning, right in the big atrium of the high school. I was 13 years old and there were 200 people right there. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She just shoved me away and screamed at full volume, "I'd rather die than date you." Dead silence. Everyone turned and stared. 400 eyes of my classmates bearing down on me. Someone jeered, "Can't you take a hint?" There was a murmur of agreement. I walk away. I didn't run. I was numb the rest of the day. Then I just felt shattered. My brother even beat me up for embarrassing him that day. I'm twice that age now, and I'm still to some degree bitter, angry, and suspicious when it comes to girls because of that. It has impacted my ability to interact with and trust women, and even after relationships and flings, it still lingers, and I always think females are lying or manipulating me in some way, or otherwise are shit-talking me behind my back. That's terrible. I remember freshman year 2017. I asked a girl out like when class ended, but when I asked her out she just awkwardly didn't know what to say back. Then out of nowhere one of her friends just grabbed her and goes and takes her. She thanked her walking away from me. Like why I'm okay with a simple no. Dude. Punctuation. Story from me when I still was at school. I was around 16-17 at that time. A friend of mine was having a birthday party and he also invited a hot girl from school. Both me and my friend hosting the party had some interest in her. We spent some time during the evening and late at night, when we all were stupidly drunk and she was about to go home. I took the initiative and asked her if she wanted to go out and eat something with me one day, to which she replied, nah, I'm not that drunk. Oof. I'm sorry, but dang, that was a good roast. Can't get rejected if you don't have any social confidence whatsoever, prompting you to overthink everything, giving you anxiety over whether someone likes you or not, no matter how obviously they might display it, thus leading to you assuming no one will accept you, much less love you as a person, and never asking them out. But you're rejecting yourself, mate. During a sleepover, after going to the movies with a group of friends, my crush, a friend and I all slept together in the same bed, because we didn't have another option. Hearing the two of them flirting and making out while I was sleeping is fine. This is fine. Yikes. This guy asked a girl out and she laughed at him and for some reason shoved him and he bumped into another guy. The guy knocked him out in one punch. Asked a girl out and got knocked out. Poor guy. Who the frick knocks someone out after they bumped into him? School is about to end. Summer is coming. We should meet and spend some time during the summer. You'll be fine. We'll definitely meet after summer in the school, right? This hurts, man. It really does. Had a crush on this girl for about 7 years. Not once did I confess my love for her. One day she just comes up to me and says, I don't fancy you anymore. I see that this is for teenagers, but I have a story. These two girls would talk to me all the time in one of our classes and one of the girls liked me a lot. One day we're sitting with each other during a reading in class and the one that didn't like me asked me if I wanted to be boyfriend-girlfriend with that girl that did liked me. She asked me while the other girl that liked me was right next to her. Hearing all of this, I wasn't ready for a relationship. I was a baby still, so I said, all awkwardly, "No," and the girl that liked me just kinda smiles and just says, AWW. It was so dang awkward the whole day in class. But it gets better. Not. Some years later I went to this quinceañera party, Mexican birthday party for a woman to celebrate finally being a woman, at the age of 15. And the girl that liked me was there. I was all cool with my friends and family and she started walking over to me, probably all sweating and scared, to ask me to dance. And again, I said, no, and she smiled and walked away and sat down by herself while people were dancing and having a good time. But wait, the moment she sat down, there was this one girl I really liked and she proceeded to ask me to dance and I got up so darn fast and grabbed her hand and danced with her till she had to go home, without realizing that the girl that liked me was sitting right in front of us. I was such a huge douche for doing that and I feel bad for doing that. But I was young, I didn't know anything. She blocked me from social media, but I don't blame her. Hey, hope you feel better, but it was her fault. Obligatory. This happened many moons ago, when I was a teen. Junior in HS. I was 16. I asked a girl out, and she gave me her address and said be at my house at 7 to get me. I show up at 7 and the place is dead dark. Not a single light on or car around. When I get to school the next week, she ignores me like the whole thing never happened. So on Valentine's Day a friend of mine got the boys to execute a foolproof plan in order to get a girl he liked to be his GF. The plan included 1. 5 stations where would be 1 chocolate candy and a thing the girl liked. 2. In every station was one of the boys giving the girl one poem each. 3. At the end, a big paper with her name and would you be my girlfriend? Sad to say that she said you are not even cute and left. This story is about me. So I liked my neighbor. From my experience, bad idea. And I decided to ask her out. Again, bad idea. I didn't get a straightforward answer, which obviously hurt, but for about 6 months after she came over to my house, which did hurt because during the 6 months I realized it wasn't gonna happen. Which I knew but didn't accept it. I know it's not as spectacular as others, but it has stuck with me and it makes me sad to think about it, but I moved on. Oh, finally something I have experience with and can contribute to. Was maybe 12-13 and asked my friend if he would ask out the girl I had a crush on for about a year for me. He ran over to her on the other side of the pool. She then yelled across the pool in front of everyone. Parents and kids are like, not in a million years. I texted a girl who I had a crush on in middle school who somehow someway didn't save my number. I texted her and she asked, who is this? It's Drew is awesome 14. LOL goodbye. Another time I texted a girl I was interested in high school. Who is this? It's Drew. Drew, star high school quarterback. No, Drew is awesome 14. Never heard back from her. I worked up the courage to ask out the girl I liked once. Her and her friends laughed and laughed in the hallway. I got a lot more that were after my teenage years. So sad they're funny in my opinion. To be fair, I was a bit of a weirdo, but dang, it took me a while to rebuild my self-esteem. It's not terrible, but it definitely hurt. I told this guy I liked him on Snapchat during the school holidays. He blanked me, so I told my friend to send him a picture on my phone and say JK it was me, hahaha. That crap hurted. Friend took my phone as a Hall of Fame alibi from back then. Nicely done. I just got cut from my high school football team after turning in all the equipment. We went into the coach's office so he could give us a last little talk on why he had to cut us. I walked in and he immediately just started crapping on me, saying I'm at the bottom of the depth chart, I had no real skill and that my weight was too low. Whole time he could not even keep eye contact with me. Dang. This was very early in my teens. Like 11, so I'm not sure it counts, but I'll tell it anyway. So I started liking a girl, as one does, and was wondering how to break the ice. I got an idea from something a few of my classmates did, which was leaving romantic letters. So I wrote one, left it on her desk when no one was watching, and then when she read it, she started a school-wide witch hunt. Or is it a wizard hunt in this case, over who wrote it. Not a good kind of witch hunt. It was pretty apparent she was out for the blood of the person who wrote it. Never admitted to writing it. It was a pretty major turn off. Also made me scared of girls for a while. I once asked my high school crush and best friend if he liked me. He said yes, and after a pause, as a friend. That was pretty devastating. Ouch. This didn't happen when I was a teenager, but early 20s, so close enough. Posted this before as a tifu as well. So, I matched with a girl, and we had some decent conversation on Tinder for a few days, and then she starts responding much less frequently as Tinder ladies are prone to doing. Then last night I get a message something along the lines of, hey, Tinder really isn't my thing. I prefer meeting people in person, so I'm going to delete this app. I wanted to let you know so you didn't think I was just cutting you off. Anyway, hopefully we run into each other in person someday. Cool. Totes can deal with that. Well, today is the first day of the semester, and we have similar majors, and I see her surrounded by a group of friends waiting for class. Literally never seen her before in my 4 years of college. Welp. I summon the largest balls I can possibly muster, and walk up and say hi, and she looks at me, first with a look of unrecognition confusion, then with a look of what I can only describe as an oh frick face, and my balls immediately deflate. I'm talking possible inversion. Knees weak, palms are sweaty, her friends are giving me weird looks and I just panic. Basically it went down like, oh, you don't remember me, UHH never mind, and just kinda noped out of there. Then the giggles. Crap, that was rough. I'm usually a pretty confident guy, and this is decidedly the most awkward moment of my 22-year existence. TLDR. Interpreted a chance encounter as divine intervention. Probably looked like an awkward stalker. Balls inverted. Not me, but a young kid, probably 17, I worked with. There was a cute Tesla rep at our Home Depot. To get that job, you need a degree and a decent resume. So she's at least 22, more likely 25. Teenager strolls up very confidently as she works at her computer in the break room. "Hi, I'm Jard." Girl looks up from her computer at him, closes computer, walks into conference room, shuts the door without a word. Truly the most savage thing I've ever witnessed. When I was young, it was university, getting a letter back saying I had applied too late. Not to worry, I had a fallback, but still, I wouldn't get to go to the school I wanted to because my dumb butt couldn't even schedule my own life. Felt like I was rejected and deserved it too. Or dude, you were young. We are all still tripping in our 20s. Well, I once waited 3 years to ask a girl out since I was a coward at 14. Looking back, she obviously liked me too. When I'd finally asked her, she said yes. Until the next day, when she had her friend break up with me over text because she realized she was a lesbian. That sorta sucked for young me. I was the one doing the rejecting. I was at a new school for my junior year and made a few new friends pretty easily. One of which was a pretty cool dude who had the same interests as me, so we talked a lot. Fast forward to Valentine's Day. I'm not one to care too much about it and wasn't in a relationship. Everyone had the same lunch period as it was a small school, so almost everyone in the school was in the lunchroom, which happens to have a sort of stage. Halfway through lunch, this dude I was friends with gets on the stage, makes everyone stop what they were doing, brings out chocolates and a letter to me and asks me to be his girlfriend. Everyone cheered and thought it was amazingly cute, but I had to publicly announce to him that I only like him as a friend. Later, reading the letter, he had professed his intent to love me for, and basically his nickname became Friendzone for the remaining year. He didn't take it too harsh, but I felt bad for him. I really hope this provides some good examples of psychological trauma to answer the question, what's the worst that could happen? I had a crush on a girl in my class. I confessed to her, and she then told me that she had a boyfriend. Everyone knew she was single the whole year. That memory haunts my sad soul. Asked a guy on a date and he asked if we could just stay in instead of going somewhere. No problem. I continued to come over, hang out, etc. I said to him we're dating multiple times. We made out. Then when I said my friends want to meet the guy I'm dating, he asked, "Oh, who are you dating?" Really liked this girl, we got along great. Been talking to her a while. We're texting and she tells me she likes me. I tell her I feel the same, but I want to ask her out in person. She's fine with this, but the problem is she's going away for 2 weeks, so I have to wait a bit. This is where things start to fall apart. About a week and a mutual friend of ours I am out with gets a text from her. I jokingly say how much trouble am I in, and she gives me a worried look. After a lot of coaxing, it turns out the girl doesn't like me anymore. I was really crushed, and at that time me and a few friends were at the movies and it really spoiled the night. Fast forward 2 weeks. The girl's back and we've been texting a bit. Haven't met up as she lives a town over. All of a sudden she starts flirting with me heavily, and so I thought, oh, maybe she was just away for a bit and forgot how much she liked me. Don't ask. Anyway, I think things are going well and resolve again that I'll ask her out next time I see her. Fast forward again another week and a half or so, I am talking to the previously mentioned mutual friend about how I am going to ask girl out when I see her next, and friend says yeah, maybe don't do that. I was confused and pee off and ask why. She basically said I am not gonna say she doesn't like you anymore, but at this point I was just so absolutely done with all of this and was so put out by it. After thinking about it all night, I just wake up and text her, please just be honest. Do you actually like me? It takes her like half an hour to respond and it goes, I used to but I don't anymore. Sorry. I was just absolutely crushed at this point. This girl was just the most incredible person ever and had expressed interest in me, and I was just always so happy to talk to her, and yet that last paragraph happened a few days ago. I'm still really put out about it, but not as much. Haven't really talked to girl. I just get sad if I do. Sorry for long post. One time in middle school, my friend wanted to break up with her boyfriend, so she decided to walk up to him, ask him as he wanted to see a magic trick, brandish a deck of cards and ask him to pick a card. He picked one and gave it back to her. "Are you ready for the magic?" She said, "Yeah." "Poof, you're single." Wait a second. My friends always try to hook my one friend up or introduce him to girls. Every one of his rejections has had the girl sat something along the lines of, "No friend is hella funny and nice, but he's so short and he's really ugly." So many girls laughed at the thought of dating him. One girl said she'd rather drink bleach than give him kiss. I myself am not a teenager anymore, but my sister is 17 and for her junior year prom she asked a guy who plays baseball to be her date. Her promposal idea was to write a cute rhyming thing on a baseball to ask. He made a video the next day with a different girl pitch him the ball that the promposal was written on and he smack it into the lake with a bat. I couldn't even believe how terrible of a thing that was to do to another human being. That's so crappy, but hilarious. Not a teenager anymore, but I have one. I used to have a crush on this girl for 5 years during my so-called hopeless romantic era. She told me she only thought of me as a brother figure, but I did everything to make her happy. I bought flowers for her on every Valentine's Day, made her 1,000 origami cranes with quotes written in each of them when she had a rough fight with her family, bought her every single item she wanted as presents for birthdays. They were mostly cheap cosmetics, books, etc. Nothing expensive. She sometimes ditched me whenever I asked her to hang out or go do something fun, and when I told her how I don't appreciate that, she responded, "How dare you treat Emmy like crap? You have no chance with Emmy, ever. If you are reading this, frick you, Cassidy. Thanks for making me waste my money, time, and my feelings for a selfish D like you. I hope that your husband cheats on you and that your marriage end in bitter divorce. Frick Cassidy." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.